Hi, Clef Mamas. I'm in my office today, and I've just been thinking about different ways to support the Clef community to create content that is useful and helpful. And one of the things that I have learned is that people want advice about that initial diagnosis. So when they first learn about their child's cleft, when you're in that ultrasound room and the doctor says we suspect that there may be a cleft or there may be you may require some further testing, or if you are in the ultrasound room and the tech just becomes awkwardly quiet all of a sudden. We have all experienced those moments. Myself, I just had someone approach me after I was still being worked on the table because Giselle's diagnosis came when she was born, and she came to me and said, "Your daughter has a hole in the roof of her mouth." And so I always try to think of what did I need during that time, and it varies from person to person. So what I thought to do is to go into one of the Cleft Mom support groups, and I asked, "Hi, mamas, what was the most helpful advice or thing that someone said that helped you accept your child's diagnosis?" And I think sometimes when we post in these groups, we can either get a lot of messages or we can get nothing. And so I was so ecstatic to see that so many people wrote and shared the best advice that they received from other mamas or things that people told them. Because we often hear things that are not so great, that are like terrible advice. So I wanted to take the time today to share some of those pieces of advice with you. So this is from, I'll keep all of these anonymous. The Cleft Mom support groups are all private groups. And so unless I have explicitly shared with someone that I wanted to share or ask for their permission to share the identity, I don't usually share identities without asking first. So I won't share any of these identities here, but just gonna read these off to you all as they may be helpful in during this time of you accepting a diagnosis or receiving a diagnosis, and it will take time, but hopefully these are helpful to you. The first is said, "Nothing was said to me, but my mindset is as long as my girl is happy, healthy, and loved, and knows how much she is loved, is all that matters." Another person shared, "A friend of mine told me about her brother who had a number of health challenges as an infant and young child. She said it made him resilient and empathetic." Another person says, "Those who just act like my baby was normal. I hated pity." This is the one thing that really bothered me as well, is when I shared the information about Giselle, that people would suddenly turn, "Oh, like, poor girl, like, we feel so sorry for her." Their demeanor just changed. And I'm like, no, she's actually really strong and really vibrant. And yeah, there's no need to pity her. She's a completely normal baby. And yeah, that was one of the things that I didn't, I love when people just said, "We'll get through this." Another person says, "Nothing anyone told me, but when I was pregnant with my son who had a cleft, a girl I went to high school with had a baby who was born and immediately needed open heart surgery. It really put things into perspective for me, that at least I never had to worry about if I was going to lose him due to his birth defect." Another person shares, "My gynecologist said it's just a minor cosmetic inconvenience that can be easily fixed." It made me feel better when she said it. And so true. You never know. My son had one, and he is definitely special. Just everything about him. They say the cleft kiddos are born strong and fighters. Another person shared, "Honestly, just talking to other cleft parents. I met a nurse at a community baby shower, and her son was born with a cleft lip, and she was able to breastfeed with him. She explained how, and she told me some info about surgery and what life would look like, and just like that, a wave of relief came over me. I knew I could do it. The moment she was born, the rest of my stress just floated away. I'm stressed about her surgery, but I love her surgical team, and I know she is in great hands." Another person shared, "This wasn't said to me. It's something I learned over time, but just stay curious. When I got the diagnosis, I felt overwhelmed by everything I suddenly had to learn, but I don't have to be a human encyclopedia for clefts. I just need to be open to learning something new every day. I want other moms to just to be just as gentle with themselves in this journey. Another person says, "She is going to be fine." Even though I knew it, it was nice to hear. And I have two more. One person says, "My OB had delivered 3 babies for me. His office always did my ultrasounds. Whenever he sat us down to talk to us about the cleft lip marker on the ultrasound, I couldn't help but take it seriously and accept it. My doctor has never steered me wrong or given me bad advice. He sent me to MFM for confirmation, but he told us that the surgery procedures are so amazing now that we wouldn't need to worry. True enough. You can't even see my son's scar." And then the last one is, "My therapist pointed out that since I had a personal experience with disability chronic illness, what a gift I could give my child to empathize and support and accept. It shifted my perspective into what strengths and experience I had that I could offer to a child. And it was actually healing for me. It made me grateful in a way because I can help give my child a kinder beginning than what many of us go through. Even if you don't have personal experience with disability or congenital abnormalities or chronic illness, think about what experiences in your life might give you insight into feeling different and what strengths you have, like kindness or resilience. That will be so important for helping your child not only cope, but thrive." I love that. I love all of these pieces of advice or best advice that people have received along this journey because it can be so hard in those first few days of learning about your child's diagnosis and going through the process of those first few days when you have them in your arms can be really challenging. And so I was so excited that people had so much advice to give or so much nuggets of love and just pieces to help others overcome in this journey. And so I'm grateful to share this information with you today. And I hope that our platform here, the Hour Forever Smiles platform, will continue to share your stories and continue to support other families. Thank you all and happy holidays.